for a long time that I felt that water, the same feeling as water, starting flowing again inside me. And I decided then to become a Muslim through looking at the universe, at the trees, at the sky, and I got the certainty that there's a God. So I started to look for a way to communicate with that God through a religion, until a Muslim gave me the translation of the Quran, of the meaning of the Quran in French, and that was the first time that I had read a translation of the Quran, and I felt that book was completely different from the other books. I know that they have Western countries have studied very carefully, deeply Islam, so they know how beautiful our Prophet's behavior was. They know the great values of Islam, that you have to be good to your father, to your mother, that you have to be kind to children, to respect the older people. How violently they react when their son or their daughter reverts. They very often reject them. Why? It would be very interesting from a psychological point of view to analyze that, Yani. Of course, what is difficult to understand for a non-Muslim is that Islam has become the most important thing in life. Why should your prayer be the most important thing, or your religion? Yani, they often say religion is somebody you keep for yourself. Why do you have to change all your life because of your religion? Please don't read books written by enemies of Islam. Read books written by Muslims for Muslims. To all those people who don't believe and don't have hope within themselves, that they are wrong not to have hope. Search for the truth and be honest. Don't lie to yourself.
Assalamu alaikum, dear listeners. Today we are joined by guest Zakaria Shanfour. He is a French Muslim living in Cairo. He's 51. He's married and has 3 daughters, mashallah. And he is a language specialist right now. He is busy with his new website that teaches speakers of the English language to learn French. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show, Zakaria.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So you have such a colorful background. I think this is going to be a very interesting show for our listeners.
Inshallah.
Especially in current events. But before we get into all of that, let's learn a little bit more about your background. So what religious teachings, if any, were part of your childhood?
So I was born and raised in an atheist family, and there was no religion at all at home. So I didn't have actually any religious background. And since I lived in France, as you know, French schools don't teach. There's no religious subject at school, so I didn't have any religious background at the beginning. But I would like to say something interesting, inshallah, is that when I was a kid, I used to feel that somebody was protecting me, but I didn't know who it was and how to call him, but I had that feeling, and I didn't share
even without the idea of religion, you had this internal feeling, I guess we can call it.
Feeling.
And so I guess then that has to do with the whole Lacitee in France, where they completely want to just wipe religion from, I guess, public life. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So then how did you first learn about Islam?
Well, I guess I heard about Islam like most people who don't live in Muslim countries and they're on television in the media, but I didn't pay very much attention to Islam or to any religion. I remember that when I was at high school, I knew somebody who had become or who would become a priest, and I remember that I said I really would like to believe in God, because I guess that when you believe in God, you're happy. That's where I was about 18 years old, and actually became Muslim at 33 years old. So that's a long way between that wish and the realization of that wish. Yeah. But what happened is that the first time I started to think about the universe and why we're here, it was at high school. It was not in religious classes, but through philosophy classes. Yeah. Maybe what would be we should mention is that I lost that feeling of being protected by somebody around teenage, and maybe I don't know why, of course, but then when I reached 25 years old, when I got 25 years old, that I had I got the conviction or the certainty that there's a God, that universe was created by a God. I got that feeling or that kind of faith, even if we can't call that faith from a Muslim perspective, but through looking at the universe, at the trees, at the sky, and I got the certainty that there's a God. So I started to look for a way to communicate with that God through a religion. So I started to read all kinds of books, religious books, Christian books, Buddhist books, Jewish books, all kinds of books. But I think I didn't read anything about Islam at that time, until a Muslim gave me the translation of the Quran, of the meaning of the Quran in French, and that was the first time that I had read a translation of the Quran, and I felt that book was completely different from the other books. But still, it was not the time for me to revert. I had kind of strange feelings inside, but I didn't decide to revert at that time. I embraced the Christian faith, because it's kind of natural in France. The closest religion to French people is Christianity. So I love that the message of love. We should love each other and so on. So I decided to become a Christian, but by myself. I didn't belong to any church, or I was by myself. I used to read the Bible every day, some pages. But little by little, I began to see contradictions in that book. For example, I said to myself, how is it possible that Jesus should be God, or the Son of God, and then he should be on the cross and say approximately, "Oh, my Father, why did you forsake me? And if he was God, why would he say that? To whom would he say that? If he was the Son of God, he should have a very strong faith. How could he possibly imagine that his father would abandon him? So that was all kinds of contradictions. So after 3 years, I felt the need to read again that translation of the Quran, and I looked for one of those books in a library and read it again, and that's when I felt that the truth was in that book. And I had all kinds of very intense feelings, like a connection with God, and something very interesting. When I became convinced that the truth was in that book, I felt as if a source that had been dried for a long time, that I felt that water, like the same feeling as water, starting flowing again inside me. And I decided then to become a Muslim. So I went to see some Muslim people, and I told them, and I embraced Islam, and they started to give me a lot of books about Islam. And I remember that was the best and happiest day in my life. And strangely, some weeks ago, I was into music. I was not a professional, but it was a passion. And some weeks before, I had done my first concert in my life, and I had felt it was the best day in my life. But a few weeks later, I became a Muslim, and it was I was even happier. And so that's it, and that's how I reverted.
And yeah, I wanted to actually circle back a little bit. So during this whole entire time, your parents remained atheists?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And did you have conversations with them about your doubts and, how you were feeling about God and the universe in general, or?
Yeah, actually, I should be more precise. My parents divorced when I was very young. So it's my stepfather who educated me. My mother married with a French man. And my father has a religion. He lives in Tahiti in the Pacific Ocean. I have never lived with him, but he's a Mormon actually. He's a Mormon. But I didn't live with him, so I didn't have any religious background. My mother, and my stepfather didn't believe. They only believed in democracy. That's the thing, or good luck and bad luck sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And so you said when you had initially started looking into religions that Christianity kind of seemed like an easy fit for you because this is something that French people identify with easier, I guess. Do you feel that's because of the way that Islam is talked about in French society or other religions in general, or why is the Christian faith sort of the go-to, or felt like a go-to for you?
I think for historical reasons, Christianity has been present in France for centuries, so that's the reason. I mean, there's a traditional Christianity has been present in France for centuries. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so. But that's nothing that they teach you in school, correct?
No. It's forbidden to. Or you can go to Christian schools, but that's most schools don't have any religious education. And either you go to a religious school, and which means Christian school, or you won't have any religious education.
At all. Okay. I see. And is it Catholicism or Protestantism mainly?
Catholicism.
Yeah, Catholicism. Okay. That's what I figured. So you converted because you felt like it was the truth. After that, did your life completely change, or how was the
Yes,
practical side of converting?
yes, it completely changed because Muslims, I mean, converts or reverts have different ways to start with their new faith. Some start little by little, but as far as I'm concerned, I wanted to do everything the same right away. So I think that 2 or 3 days after my conversion, I was wearing, a kamis, the Islamic dress for men. And so I started very fast, which is not good, by the way. That's not good. We should learn Islam step by step, little by little. But I felt that if I wanted to be honest and sincere, I had to do everything right away. Which is, and I didn't have any experience in Islam, so I didn't know that it was wrong. And I was not surrounded with people who had a strong religious background. They were like ordinary Muslims. And that's it. And so I got to know that that many scholars think that al-hijrah, immigration, for the sake of Allah is compulsory. So two years after my reversion, I left France to go to Egypt.
Oh, so that was it wasn't for a job or anything.
It was for religious reasons.
And did you know any Arabic before leaving, or you just?
No, I bought a book some days before I left, and I knew some letters. That's it.
Wow, that's quite extreme, huh? And you didn't know anyone in Egypt, and you just boarded a flight and said, "Inshallah," or?
Well, I chose Egypt because I had a friend who was Moroccan, and his wife was French, and she had spent some time in Egypt learning Arabic. So she said he had told me, we've got friends there. If you want to go to Egypt, I think you might like it. And I've got friends who will help you at the beginning with housing, registering at the university if you want to study at university, Azhar University. As you probably know, Azhar University is one of the most famous Islamic university in the world. Thousands of students from all over the world come to study there. So they told me we've got friends, and actually I met those people who are really, really kind. The husband was an English teacher, and his wife is a French teacher, and they did everything to help me. They went to university so I can register. They helped me with housing, and so I was about to enter Azhar University, but Qadar Allah, destiny, the destiny, Allah's destiny was different. Allah had a different plan for me. 2 weeks after I came to Egypt, I met somebody who said, I think I know a better place that Azhar to learn Islam, and I went to that place, and it was a place where they taught. There were Muslims from all over Europe, and their goal was to make or to teach those young Muslims so that they can go back to their countries and spread Islam. So I entered that place, and it was all free. I mean, free because it was funded by a certain country, and so it was accommodation was free, learning Arabic was free, and we learned the basics of Islam as well. So it was a great experience. I spent 1.5 years there. So I started learning Arabic in a very famous center for foreigners in Cairo. And after about 1 year, I started being able to speak Arabic and understand the basics. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, Allah. So during your studies, did you run into a favorite surah or ayah or hadith that really kind of struck you as the ultimate truth, or something that has stayed with you that you cling to in time?
It's a bit difficult for me to specify a certain verse or hadith during that period, but there are many hadiths who are amazing and beautiful. I don't know, but مثلا in Arabic لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه, which means no one will be a true believer until he wishes for his brother what he wishes for himself, for example. Really wonderful hadith. Of course, there's one of the verses that struck me was what is translated approximately by if anyone kills anybody unjustly, it's as if he had killed the whole mankind, and if somebody spares the life of someone, it's as if he had spared the whole mankind. Really beautiful, and not only beautiful but very important. This is the core of Islam, contrary to what is said, what we hear in the media. What I'm really surprised at, and I'm really surprised that nobody reacts. Media always focus on how to say that in English, when you kill people with stones, lapidation maybe, I don't know.
Stoning. I mean,
stoning, marrying young girls, cutting the hands of people, of thieves.
Right, the sensational stuff.
Why don't they talk about our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam behavior, his marvelous behavior? Bismillah. For example, that our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never refused anything to anybody who asks him for something. He never refused. If he had money, he gave his clothes. He never refused. He never, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, never struck or beat somebody except in wars. And I think he only killed two persons in wars. The U.S. Army in Iraq killed 500,000 children.
Right.
I think there's a difference.
That's the problem with the media. They unfortunately have the control of what to focus on. They
only focus on things that are a bit difficult to even for many Muslims to admit, to accept, like stoning, they only focus the thing, and they it's like if they focus on the tree and let the whole forest, didn't look, if they, as if they didn't look at the whole forest.
Yes, but this is only with Muslims and, people of color and immigrants
Yeah,
usually. When you talk about here in America, we have a very big problem with school shootings and
with
gun
so
violence with school shooting and gun violence
school
in
children,
general. Yeah.
because
And
of the
usually it's a white male who perpetrates it, but white males in general are never called to account, and we're never, the dialogue is never, oh, we need to address what's wrong inherently with white males.
yeah.
Whereas, one Muslim somewhere does something crazy, like, beheads his wife or something, and then all of a sudden it's a problem with Islam and the whole religion. So,
It's pure the dishonesty. Uh,
yes,
and there's
unfortunately,
no objectivity in the way media speak about Islam, because if I know that they have any Western countries have studied very carefully, deeply Islam, so they know how beautiful our Prophet's behavior was. They know the great values of Islam, that you have to be good to your father, to your mother, that you have to be kind to children, to respect the older people, that you have to not you have to give from your money if you have enough money to poor people, and it's very recommended to do to give charity, that you have to be very good to your neighbors. You have to respect the rules. Muslim scholars say if you live in a disbelievers, non-Muslim countries, you have to obey the rules,
right,
unless what they ask you is contrary to Islam. If they say you have to drink alcohol, for example, but otherwise we have to abide by the rules. We've got
right,
Islam said that we've got to. Islam says if you a job, do it the most perfectly as you can. Isn't that good? Isn't that good?
right.
Isn't that
Yes,
good values? Yani,
yes,
or is it better to get rid of your mother and father when they're old? You know that in Egypt they can't imagine to get rid of their father and mother when they get old. No, they say we'll take care of our mothers and father until they die. I know an engineer who took care of his father until he died. He worked at home to be able to take care of his father. He used to feed him, to accompany him to the toilets. Sorry about that. He used to feed him. He fed him until he died, and he didn't go to work. He worked from home because of his father, and it's
right.
something. It's not exceptional here.
Well, yeah, it's not exceptional there, but here it would be very exceptional, I
Yeah,
suppose.
but I mean that is Islamic values.
Right. Yes, it's
Why don't
maddening,
we
I guess,
don't
to
hear about that?
well, I think there are many reasons, and I think that's a
Oh,
bigger conversation.
it's dishonesty,
It
lack
is.
of
It's dishonesty, yes.
yeah.
But I think it's probably also fear because, as you may have guessed or you may have experienced when you convert to Islam, you give up things like alcohol and smoking
It's
and
very
all,
bad, very
and
bad.
these
It's very
things
bad
that
for
dri-
big
drive,
lobbies.
yeah, drive Western economies, drive global economies. So
In
movies, for example, aren't looked upon in a good light in Islam, or TV or music or anything that kind of wastes time and isn't
yeah.
in devotion to God. So it's a complete 180 from everything that,
Yeah,
the Western media wants you to
yeah,
focus
yeah. Of course. But even Western societies acknowledge the danger of alcohol, for example, and the damage that
on. Oh,
alcohol
yeah.
causes. So how do you condemn a religion that says it's bad to drink alcohol, and when alcohol every year causes I don't know, in the world probably millions of deaths, probably, or
Right,
hundreds of thousands.
right.
Yeah, and what's your problem? I mean, is it wrong to be against alcohol?
Well,
Is it
again,
wrong to be
it's about
against
belief.
to the tobacco, against smoking?
No, of course, and doctors and teachers and professionals will agree, even in Western countries, that these aren't things that you should be doing. And we have campaigns to make kids aware of the dangers of alcohol and drugs and all of these things, and yet we still have them legalized.
Yeah.
So I think that
The thing is that each society and each family inside that society, whether they aware of that or not, have certain codes, certain habits, certain standards, and when for example, it's very interesting to see how converts families react, and how violently they react when their son or their daughter reverts. They very often reject them. Why? It would be very interesting from a psychological point of view to analyze that, Jenny, because that all of a sudden their son doesn't have the same codes, the same. So it's become like an alien
mhm.
to that family or to that society, and there's a kind of tribal behavior, and you're no longer from my tribe.
Is that how you feel in France? Have you returned to France since leaving?
Well, not much. I mean, I traveled sometimes, and every time I spent maybe 2 weeks, or once I spent several months with. I spent. I didn't spend much time in France since I left it. I left the
Hmm.
country.
Hmm.
But as for me, my families didn't really react in a violent way, but they were annoyed that I had become Muslim. Because, for example, of course, French people, French people, they always kiss one another. They have that strange habit. Every time they see each other, they kiss each other. They drink a lot of alcohol. They eat pork. So, of course, when I told my family I can't do these things any longer, but they became annoyed because, for example, why don't you kiss your cousin? Why don't you? What's wrong with that? They don't understand. And I didn't want to sit at a table where there was alcohol, so I didn't share their meals. So of course or for example, they wanted to whenever they wanted to go for a walk, to go out, said I have to come back at certain time for my prayer. So
Mm.
it annoyed them. Why don't you live the way you used to live? You'll
Yeah.
become someone else. You'll become someone else.
Yeah, I think that's difficult for many converts, especially coming from a Western background, to explain, the shift in your priorities, I suppose,
Yeah,
to the people around you. And sometimes, if they are truly good people and they love and support you, they'll get used to your changes. And sometimes those relationships necessarily have to break. And,
yeah,
Allahu Alam. And inshallah, God makes it easy for you and replaces. them with what's better.
Same to you. Of course, what is difficult to understand for a non-Muslim is that Islam has become the most important thing in life. They don't understand that.
Right.
Why should your prayer be the most important thing, or your religion? They often say religion is somebody you keep for yourself. Why do you have to change all your life because of your religion?
Then for you personally, what was the hardest thing that you had to change about yourself in order to take on a more Islamic lifestyle?
Yes, I would say music, because I was used to love music. And I remember there was, just before embracing Islam, I was doing my first concert. I used to play the guitar, sing, write songs, but subhanAllah, a little bit before I reverted, I started to only write about God. All my songs were about God. Allah, and very. And a few days later, I embraced Islam. But I remember that I had a conversation with somebody who tried to make me embrace Islam, to explain me the truth. And he made a very big mistake. He told me, in Islam, music is forbidden. And I said, and then I think that maybe that religion is not for me, because music was the central part of my life. I mean, one of the most important things. It was a mistake in dawah, dawah techniques. But we should first explain people that the Quran is the word of Allah, that is the truth, that that book has been sorry about that. Sorry about that. And some people may wonder, how can you pray 5 times a day? And it really is not that easy. But the most important thing is to understand that that Islam is the truth, that the Quran is made of words that the creator of the universe himself has said. And when you people may say, they all say that, Christians say that, Buddhists say that, all of them say that they are following the right path. But the thing is that when you embrace Islam and then you start learning your religion, your iman gets stronger and stronger, inshallah, because you get to know that really this is the truth, and it's like a whole puzzle, and everything is perfect. And there are things in the Quran that no human could have written. Some, as you know, scientific facts, let alone the level, the literary level of the Quran, because at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, every prophet came with miracles related to their time.
Society.
And at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Arabs were really strong in Arabic, and they used to make competitions in markets. They used to make competitions in markets, poetry competitions and literary competitions. So they were really, really strong in Arabic, and so that's why Allah Azza wa Jal revealed the Quran, because when they heard the Quran, they were amazed, and they understood that nobody could write, no human could write such a book. And as you know, Allah in the Quran challenged the whole humanity, and at all times, to make just one verse like the verses of the Quran.
Right.
And nobody has succeeded in doing that.
Mashallah. Yeah, and I don't think we will witness that in our lifetime. But
We will never see that.
no. Um, I wanted to bring it back to what you were talking about when you read the Bible and the idea of God as the Father and the Son. So when you read the Quran for maybe our Christian or ex-Christian listeners or people thinking of converting from Christianity, what is the difference that you found in the Quran in terms of the explanation of Jesus, peace be upon him, as a prophet?
First of all, in the Bible, there are not many words from Jesus or attributed to Jesus. As you know, it's been written by people several centuries, I think, after Jesus was elevated to Allah Azza wa Jal. There are the core values are the same, of course, because the Bible is originally Al-Injil. It's originally a heavenly book, but it's been transformed, and so you've got the core values are the same. You shall not kill, you shall not steal, but the main difference is that the Bible has been written by men, but whereas the Quran has been written by Allah Azza wa Jal, has been pronounced by Allah Azza wa Jal, and he taught Jibril alayhi salam the most the highest angel, and Jibril alayhi salam taught Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam the Quran. But the major difference is that the Bible has been made by man, and the Quran is the word of Allah, of God, and the original gospel has been lost, because of course what was revealed to Jesus was the truth, was as true as the Quran, but it's been changed and lost, because Allah promised in the Quran to protect the Quran from any that it won't. It's not possible to alter the Quran. It's not possible because it's been written and it's been memorized in people's hearts.
Right.
So it's a promise from Allah. So nobody will ever be able to change the Quran. Whereas the gospel has been changed by men.
I would like to speak a little bit more about Jesus, alayhi salam, peace be upon him. So as I said, as Muslims, we don't have any choice. We have to believe in all prophets, from Adam alayhi salam to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we've got to believe in Abraham, in Moses, in Jesus. So we are not allowed not to believe in them. If anybody says I'm Muslim but I don't believe in Jesus, he's not Muslim. If anybody says I'm Muslim but I don't believe in Moses, he's not Muslim. No? So we have not only to believe in Jesus and Moses, but we have to love them because they're among the best men. They are prophets. They are among the best men that ever lived on earth. So we have to, and they're all Muslims. But why do we say it may be a bit strange for Christians or Jews, for example, to hear that we say that Jesus or Moses are Muslims? Why is it not strange? Because what is it to be a Muslim? It's to believe that this universe has only one creator, and that he's the only one worthy of worship. That's what that means. What Muslim means. So Moses did believe in only one God and did worship only one God. And Jesus believed in one God. Well, Jesus said, worship my God and your God. He
Right.
didn't say worship me.
Right. That was
And
never made
like
explicit. You can't find that in the Bible. And I think the other very fascinating thing is if our listeners want to go and check this out, in the Bible, you'll find that when it's talking about Moses or Jesus or any of the prophets praying peace be upon him, they always fall to the ground and put their head on the ground,
yeah,
which is how we
yeah.
pray as Muslims. So there is
And
that
Jesus
continuity.
was fasting,
Right.
and he was circumcised.
Hmm.
So, so
So,
who are the
right,
real followers of Jesus?
right, exactly. Um,
Muslims, Muslims. Because Jesus is our brother, like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is our brother, but he's our prophet, and all we are all brothers. I mean, in Islam, the best Muslims, of course, are prophets, but they are still not our brothers.
right, right. And also, I mean, there's room for Christians and Jews because the Quran specifically mentions these two groups of religious people as being our brothers and sisters, people of the book. So,
But they are not our brothers. I mean, Jews and the Christians are not our brothers in religion. I mean,
well, they're not the
uh,
same, but we should have kindness towards them.
oh yes, but there's a big difference. We can't call anybody a Muslim cannot call anybody brother. When we speak about religion, we don't speak about blood ties. When we
Mm,
speak about religion, a Muslim cannot uh, is not allowed to call anybody from another religion his brother, because as Allah said in his Quran, إنما أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنما المؤمنون إخوة, and
mm,
which means only the believers are brothers. And what does believer mean? It means to believe in the oneness of Allah and in prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So nobody can be called a believer, a true believer, if he doesn't believe in the oneness of God and not not Trinity. God is not composed of three things.
right.
God is one, and indivisible. and,
Right.
and, and anybody who doesn't believe that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last prophet is not a believer. So they are not our brothers.
Mm,
And they are not our brothers in religion, but I must say that Jews and Christians, Muslims have to put them on a higher level than the rest of the people, and particularly above all people who worship idols, statues, the sun, rats, cows.
mm,
Yani they're called the people of the book. So and we are allowed as Muslims to marry a Christian woman or a Jewish woman, provided that she is how to say that chaste,
mm-hmm. Yes,
provided
Chase.
that she does not commit fornication.
Mm-hmm.
If she preserves herself and has good manners, we are allowed to marry Jewish women and Christian women, and we are not allowed as Muslims to marry a woman who worships a statue.
Right. Or
So
non-believers.
the
Right.
people of the book have a special status.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I think that's because
but they are
it
not our brothers in religion.
mm, semantics, I think, but yeah, I get what you're pointing to.
Yeah, Allahu
Um,
Alam.
inshallah. So I actually am fascinated by the recent events in France, and I thought, you being a French Muslim, maybe you have a better understanding of how it works there. How did you view, and maybe the community you're in now in Egypt, President Macron endorsing the hateful cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and then his subsequent remarks that Islam has a problem?
Yeah, yeah, and it would be funny if it was not a lack of respect towards our prophet, and to say such a ridiculous thing would be funny if it
Right.
was not disrespectful, because yani it reveals a deep ignorance of Islam, and a total lack of understanding of that religion, to say that Islam has a problem, you know. But the problem is that it's disrespectful, and really yani to say that people, that the French have the right to show to insult the prophet of I don't know how many we are, between 1 and 2 billion people.
Oh,
and,
no, that's
and
spirit.
saying that this is the right of French people's right to do that, to insult the most beloved person to the Muslims, saying that it's freedom of speech, is completely arrogant, and complete lack of respect.
Disrespectful,
And,
yes.
But I would like to say that something maybe that it will make many people understand more why the French government is so hateful towards Islam and the Muslims, and at the same time pretending that it's the country of freedom of conscience, freedom of cult. They say that, but they do things which are in complete contradiction with what they say. So I don't know if they think they can fool people. I don't know. But what I wanted to say is that I've got a friend of mine, is a teacher or professor at Al-Azhar University, and he made his PhD on Laicism. You say in English?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Laicism? In France. So that brother, which is who's my best friend at the same time, may Allah protect him, told me that the origins of that hatred towards, it's not only hatred towards Islam, but it's hatred toward religion, because French cartoonists and those people, they don't only mock Islam, but they mock Christians, they mock Jews. They are disrespectful towards everyone. They don't have anything sacred except their freedom of insulting people. The only sacred thing they've got is the right to insult people. But apart from that, they don't have anything sacred. So they mock they are disrespectful, because you can be you can go to court if you are disrespectful toward Jewish, because of the big lobby, Jewish lobby in France, and the fact that they control the media, and yeah. So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You can't say a word about the Holocaust. You can even question, the number of people who were killed, but when it comes to Islam, it seems like there's a completely different set of rules.
Standard, double standard.
Yes. I find that fascinating, given that, I mean, France was a Catholic nation. I mean, it was a huge part of French culture at one point. So I'm wondering, and I would probably do well to read your friend's paper, when the switch came to this like French nationalism or whatever you want to call it, that they are holding their allegiance to, but really it just seems like something they say when they want to defend one thing and they want to suppress another, you know? It's very strange. Not freedom, because
the thing is, my friend whose name is Muhammad explained in his PhD that because of the Christian persecutions of people, the church in France persecuted lots of people. They burned people. They forced people to convert to Christianism. And I did some internet, and so that to remember the dates. And they say on the internet that the Inquisition, what is called Inquisition, the persecution of people by the French Church, started in the 13th century, and they were persecuted anybody who had a different creed from theirs.
Right.
And this lasted for centuries, for I don't know exactly, I don't want to say something wrong, but I think for centuries. So French people got fed up with that. They were at first, of course, scared of them, and then they rebelled against the church. And that's when they started to want to separate completely the church and to deprive them from any political power, because at that time the church had political power in France. So that's from because of that Laicism was born, and the creed that you or the principle that you have to separate the political field from the religious field, and you don't have to let anybody who's religious enter the political sphere. It comes from that, and they because of that difficult past and all the sufferings that people endured because of the French church, the French have become against any kind of religion. So that's why they are against Islam, because Islam is not a religion where you only pray at home and you fast. No, Islam is a complete way of life. So it enters the political field, everything in life, as you said, from the way you sleep, the way you eat, the way you marry, the way you pray, the way you make politics, the way you go to war. Everything is there are rules, Islamic rules for everything. So French can't stand that, because it reminds them of what the church did and the persecution they suffered from the church. That's what my friend said in his.
I find that fascinating because, technically the United States and the history and the story is that, they were fleeing religious persecution in Europe, and that's how the United States got established. And so to see that, yes, that there were two different outcomes to this. Like in the United States, we have separation of church and state, but we're not against like the diversity of religion, I guess. It's like it's real. It is freedom. You know what I mean? We have women in hijab, alhamdulillah, now as senators and visible in public, as well as
sorry about that. That's something really that I really respect in the US and in Britain. People respect the belief in God. You know better than me, but I think that many people in I don't want to say most people, I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, most people in America believe in God?
We believe, I think we hold freedom above everything. Yes, they do respect at least the belief in God. I mean, it's become a little different, I feel like, in the last couple decades because of atheism being on the rise.
Yes,
Or
but that's something new. That's something new, isn't it?
that is something new, yes. No, of course, we're a very
Let-
young nation and we were founded upon Christian
And let's say in the
ideals.
20th, until the 20th century, for example.
Yes, of course, yes. I mean, we have "In God We Trust"
Yeah,
on our dollars. So,
that's enough. That's enough. I mean,
y-
it's you
and
can't imagine that on French money.
right, yes,
No, no, you can't imagine that. So
yeah.
that's what I respect. I respect much more Americans and Britons that I respect. Yani, I respect my former fellow citizen in France because I think there's a difference between people. So I think that many atrocities that governments do are not their population are against them.
Right.
If we look at what America did in Vietnam, for example, there were many demonstrations and people were against that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a big difference. I make a big difference between populations and governments. I don't know
Right.
why governments are so bad. I don't know, but there's a great difference. We can't say Americans uh, agreed on slaughtering Iraqi people, for example,
Right.
or
Right.
Vietnamese people.
Right.
I'm sure that many Americans were against that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I saw a very nice video from an American man who went to Iraq, and he said he really regrets what he did. He said we massacred innocent people, and we were victim of manipulation from the government who made us believe that Saddam Hussein had massive destruction
Weapons,
weapons.
weapons of
It
mass.
was a lie. Now we all know it was a lie, and we've been sent there and we killed innocent people.
Right.
He was really angry. He was really angry. Don't remember his name, but
No, yes, there was a huge movement of especially ex-military over here after
yeah,
all of the facts were revealed that, it was basically a charade and made up. So, yeah, I can see what you're saying, that Macron maybe doesn't really
the
represent
thing
what
is,
everyday French
I'm
people
so
might
proud
think or feel.
there's another side, of course, that there is election in a very short time. So Macron is probably trying to attract right wing extremists from the right um the far right people by saying bad things about Arabs and Islam, because far right people, those extremists,
Mm,
hate Arabs and Africans and Islam and all that,
hmm.
and Jews as well, by the way. So I think he there is a political side uh, behind that he wants to gain the election again. Yeah, that's what
Oh,
I
so
think.
he's kind of like the Donald Trump of France, I guess.
Maybe I
Uh,
don't know.
well, politics and religion, they're the two things that we could talk about
But I
forever.
don't have I don't have the explanation why there's such a big difference between population and governments.
You're right.
I don't have the explanation. I don't know if you do, or if anybody. I can't understand that.
No. Inshallah, all will be revealed in time. Um, so getting back to how we can increase our faith in Islam, Do you have any favorite tools or websites or things that you do maybe every day that help you to kind of keep your iman strong and your connection with Allah?
Yes, I definitely have something which I have. I mean, I knew that, but I was not applying that in my life really as I do now. One day on WhatsApp, and somebody sends me a message. Somebody said that the only thing that person said that he had read many books about how to make your heart lean and closer to Allah, but actually the only thing that helped him be closer to Allah whenever he felt that he had driven away from Allah is reading Quran with tafsir, with the explanation by scholars of the meanings of the verses. And really, really, when as a scholar said, it's better to read one verse with the explanation than to read the whole Quran without understanding anything of what you read. But this I have found that that's a really precious piece of advice. Read the Quran with tafsir, with the explanation of the. It doesn't have to be a very deep edition. There are many tafsir which are really simple. It's enough. I mean, for most of us. Then the second thing that I would recommend is extra prayers. On top of the 5 prayers, do some extra prayers, because there's a hadith that says that the thing that Allah loves best from His slaves is to perform the compulsory things, that the thing that Allah has ordered to do, like the 5 prayers, Ramadan, Hajj, Zakah. And after that, if the slaves of Allah, if His worshippers do extra prayers, then Allah will start loving them. So the love of Allah, Allah's love, we can get it, inshallah, doing extra acts of worship.
So little easy things too. Maybe for our commuters, I know that if you say Subhanallah, I think it's 100 times, you get 1,000.
Subhanallah. Well,
yeah.
Remember, there's Subhanallah wa bihamdi. It's from the Azkar Sabah wal Masa. It's 100 times.
Right. So if you do that, on your way to work or on your way home, or yes, yes, then it's what you get 1,000 sins wiped, or it counts as 1,000 good deeds. I don't remember the exact phrasing.
I don't remember either the reward, but that's a big reward. That's what I remember. Right. And the third thing I would recommend is to fast sometime. Fast, particularly on Mondays or Thursdays.
Because it's Sunnah or the way of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Oh. Because
fasting gets you closer to Allah. Because you remember, we remember as human beings that we are weak. When you spend several hours, a whole day without eating or drinking, you realize or you remember your weakness as a human being, and you remember the bounty of Allah. That every day Allah gives you food and water and something to drink. So that's a good tool good means to get closer to Allah.
Very good advice. So we should use our knowledge. We should increase our knowledge to get closer to Allah.
Knowledge is the key. Is the key.
Right.
Knowledge is the key. Why Why so many Muslims, for example, are far from Allah? Because of their lack of knowledge. And
Yeah,
there's a
not
scholar
knowing.
who said,
Right.
yeah, there's a scholar who said, whoever learns who Allah is by getting knowledge about Allah cannot but love Him.
Mm,
You will discover that Allah is more merciful towards us than our mothers. Can you
correct.
imagine that?
No, I can't because I'm a mother myself. So, and having the mother I have,
Yeah,
it's
as a
very hard to
mother,
fathom. Yes.
as a mother, could you imagine somebody loving your children more than you and
No,
be
no,
more merciful than you?
no.
Difficult,
That's
but there is Allah is more merciful than you to your children,
right.
and that any mother,
Right.
because
And so,
Allah is not now. I just wanted to say that Allah is not only merciful, He's the all wise, because human beings have a great lack of knowledge. So many times, a mother, for example, will advise her children to do something that would be good for you, and she's wrong because she lacks of knowledge.
right.
For example, we can say about food as well, and in America with burgers and
Right.
do mothers who feed their children burgers and Coca-Cola all the time? I mean, I don't mean Coca-Cola specifically, but all
Soda. Right.
kinds of drinks. Uh, do they not love their children?
No,
They
of
do.
course they do. Right. Right.
It's a lack of not knowledge, a lack of awareness of the bad things that are in that food. But Allah
Right.
is the all wise. Allah is the all wise. So not only is He merciful, but He will, if you obey Him, that's the condition. If you obey Him, He will guide you to what is the best way to you in life here. And that's important
On
because in the hereafter, everything's done in the hereafter for us.
right. Right. This is the test. So if you want the study
Yeah,
notes, I suggest you read the Quran, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so for someone thinking about converting or someone who's newly converted, do you have any other specific advice? Although all of that
I've
was
got a
relevant.
very
So,
big advice. I mean, a very important advice for anybody who wants to know Islam and to get it. I don't even, not even talking about converting, but people who say, why are they talking all the time about Islam? What is that religion? I want to know. Please don't read books written by enemies of Islam. Read books written by Muslims for Muslims. Thus, you will be sure uh, that's uh, that's Islam, because of course Muslim scholars teach Muslims the right Islam, right? They won't tell lies
right.
to Muslims.
Right.
So if
Right.
you want to know about that religion,
Mostly.
read books written by Muslim scholars or preachers for Muslims,
Mhm.
and you will know
Right.
that religion, and you will love it, inshallah. You
Inshallah.
you you, you cannot but love that religion. Is anybody, unless you're a very bad person? I mean, is anybody? Uh, does anybody hate mercy? Mercy is in Islam. Does
Right.
anybody hate being kind to parents? Does anybody hate being kind to children and respectful to elder people?
No, of course.
Yeah.
These are all things
Islam
that,
is all good. Islam is all good.
alhamdulillah.
So
Right. The real
I
message.
would like to give an advice, if I may, for certain kind of population. particularly because, in this world, and particularly to non-believers, and I was one of them. قدر الله ما شاء فعل. Among those people who don't believe in anything afterlife, in any God, a very big percentage of them are very sad inside, deep inside. They are very sad. They feel alone, They feel alone. They feel by themselves, even if they laugh, even if they meet with their friends and laugh. No, when they go back home and they're in their bed thinking about life, they're sad. They're sad because you can't be happy if you don't believe. If you believe that this life is absurd,
right,
has no sense, right? And that's the way they think, So I would, and how many people commit suicide among them? How many
and the
people commit
number
suicide?
is rising, unfortunately, especially during the pandemic. This is a big problem. Yes.
So I would like to give a message of hope to all those people, and to tell them, to remind them that this life is not absurd. This life has a goal. This life has a creator. He created us for only one purpose: to worship him.
Right.
And if so, that's the message of hope that I would like to give. Don't despair of life, because this life is meaningful, and this life is only 70, 80, 90, 100 years. And then if you obey your creator, you'll be forever in bliss, forever. And if you don't obey your creator, you'll be forever in hell. And may Allah protect us and everybody from that. And there's a hadith which says that the person who will have lived the most luxurious life on earth, but not believing in Allah and the Prophet ﷺ, or the Prophet of their time, when he will be put into hell, right from the moment that he will put into hell, he will be asked, have you ever seen something good on earth? He will swear that he has never seen anything good, because because he will have forgotten everything, because of the how to say that, the pain, the pain of that will be feel in hell. And on the contrary, the person who will have lived the most miserable life on earth, who was among poor people and had diseases, from the moment that he will be put into paradise, he will be asked as well, have you ever lived any pain on earth? He will swear that he has never lived any pain, because he will be in bliss, in such a bliss that he will have forgotten all his bad moments on earth.
Right.
That's what I wanted to say to all those people who don't believe and don't have hope within themselves, that they are wrong not to have hope. Just search for the truth and be honest. Don't lie to yourself.
And try it out. I mean, if you're at that point in your life where you're so low that you don't feel like anything is worth living for, then what do you have to lose in this case?
Yeah.
Very, very good advice.
That's something very important. No true Muslim will ever force anyone to become Muslim, contrary to what the church did in France, for example, in the 13th century. And nobody will ever force Islam on anyone. It has to be on free will, because forcing somebody can just only make hypocrites.
That's true.
And
it's actually within the Quran. It says there is no compulsion in religion. So this is
exactly.
not anything that is even based upon hadith. This is God's actual word, so it's not
useless.
up for
It's
debate,
useless.
right?
Yeah, it's useless. You can't force somebody to believe.
No, you can't. On the surface, they may look like something, but
Yeah.
it's all about our intention with Allah, and
So
Allah.
that's called hypocrisy. If
Right,
somebody makes as if he believes, but in himself he doesn't believe, that's a hypocrite. And hypocrites will be punished more severely than disbelievers in the
right,
hereafter.
right. May God save us all from that. Well, thank you, Zakaria, for joining us.
Thank
It
you.
has been very enlightening. If our listeners would like to learn French, Zakaria actually has a new site called FrenchIsForYou.com. We will definitely link that in our show notes. And if you are curious about Islam or anything that Zakaria has said has interested you, you may always reach out to us on the show. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be with you all.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. And thank you very much for this, giving me this opportunity to